So I figured I'm gonna do this episode from the car because I'm currently driving on my way to the casino right now, Hollywood Casino in Columbus, Ohio. And I kind of got to give you an update of what's been going on, where I've been in this whole process, because I've been kind of in and out of the whole poker game. I was in Florida for a year, and with the whole move and everything, it really kind of threw me off. Before that, I was on the right track. I built a bankroll up to, I think, like 4K with basically from zero, nothing. I played a $20 tournament and took it all the way to 4K. Now, with that, I started playing. Well, with the move, I used some of that money to pay for the movers and get things going, because I knew I would just build it back up. Now, the problem is that in Columbus, where I came from, because that's where I'm at right now, I came back. In Columbus, I was only 15 minutes from the casino, and 15 minutes from anything. The problem with Florida, the Florida casino, the Hard Rock, from where I lived, it was about an hour. Now, I did find some games that, restaurants and sports bars, they were having. They were tournament style. I was going to them, and I was it was a free game, and I was bankrolling off of that. And I built my bankroll back up. And what they did is they offered, you come in, they're giving a cash prize of like $150, $200 for the winner. I think they maybe played out 2 places, and from there, what they expected from you was that you contribute to buying food or drinks. And on the breaks, they would do, if you bought a beer or if you bought a shot, you get an extra $500, $1,000 chips. If you bought the deal or something. The problem with those games is that a lot of people, wasn't taking it serious. They were there to have fun. You're playing with a lot of people who are drinking. And, I did fairly well there. I cashed maybe 4 times out of the times I played, but people didn't really care. So it wasn't necessarily something that, I was trying to take it serious, but I allowed myself, when I took a loss, I would remember that, like, these people have nothing invested, and they would play literally any 2 cards. I remember, a lady going all in with Jack 5. I had Ace King, or I had Pocket Aces or something, and she hit like Jack 5. It was like ridiculous. And she even told me, she's like, I shouldn't even be playing this hand. But they didn't really care. All to say is I came back, but while I was in Florida, I really didn't have a lot of opportunities to play, real games. I went to the casino twice while I was there, and both times I took an L. Now, the times that I went, because it was an hour away, I left in the day. And what I realized is when I got there and I was playing these afternoon shifts, on a Wednesday or a Thursday, like it really felt like the retirement community. It was all their older folks. There wasn't really, no a lot of gambling. They call them the nits. The nits were out, so all the type players. And I know that, if I'm playing at a table, I should be playing the opposite of what the players are playing or how the table is playing. So I recognize that, and I didn't allow myself to really grow as a poker player there in Florida. And the 2 times I went, I took an L, and I played fine. It was just set over set, I would lose over that, or I would have a straight dead of a flush. I was playing smart, didn't allow tilt to get the best of me. I come back to Columbus, and I found out my 22-year-old son, he likes poker, and I'm like, what? And he's playing poker, and I'm that's something that I enjoyed, and it's something that we can share. So I've decided that, what, I'm getting back in. I've done all these things. I wrote a book. I got this podcast. I got a YouTube channel. I got Facebook. I got all these things. I need to be more active in doing these things. And look, the road to the final table at the WSOP is still real. It's still real to me. So, with all that being said, I've decided to start building my bankroll back up. I took $100. Me and my wife went and we turned it into like 300. I took my son a couple times to the casino. Funny, I should be up like $600-700 right now, but the truth is, I would win, he would lose, and I would give him my winnings. Funny enough, he decided that he wants to be a pilot and goes to Florida, where I just came from. And if I would have known that, I probably would have stayed. But the truth is, he's there now. And in the meantime, I've decided, since I'm in Columbus, I'm going back to where I wanted to be, was basically building my bankroll up to get my way into the main event. We are in January right now, and I am excited more than ever to get things started. So, as I'm on my way to the poker table, or poker casino, poker room, my idea is that I'm going to play these cash games. I'm going to buy into these $100, $200 tournaments, and that'll quickly build up my bankroll to afford $10,000 buy-in at the main event. And that's where I'm at. So as I'm going here, I have a idea of where I want to be as far as how much money I need to make. Right now, my bankroll is around 480, and really, I was thinking about 500 to 1,000. I'm gonna start buying into these tournaments. I'll play the cash games to buy my lower limit, tournaments, and I just need to win a couple really to get me into where I want to be. So far, I've noticed that the best tournaments, as far as the structures, are on Wednesdays and Sundays, and they give you the most chips, the best buy-in, and it seems to have a high guarantee. So that's where I'm at now. I'm gonna cut this episode short right now. But I'm gonna go when I come back. I'm gonna tell you exactly what happened after this particular play that I'm gonna play right now. Game going into a 1-2 game. I'm gonna sit down with 250, and we'll see what happens. So, see you in a couple seconds. Okay, what a crazy game! It was absolutely nuts. And I sit down at a table. And the first thing I do when I sit down is that I try to figure out, I don't want to play too many hands because I have no read on nobody. So if anything, I have to, use, how they look, what they're doing, how they talk, what they're wearing. I'm using all these. I'm trying to find clues. And the clues that I'm getting, I sit down next to a guy. He has a hat, just wearing a sweater. It's an Ohio State hat because the game is on, so he likes sports. That's the first thing I thought. And typically he's probably a sports bettor, so maybe he wants to gamble. But then I look down at his phone, and on his phone, he is YouTubing or listening to a podcast. Now, if you're listening to this podcast, or if you listen to any poker podcast, that probably means you're either trying to get better at your game, you're trying to improve your game, and somehow you're not a wrecker. We'll call it the rec player. You're not there to have fun. You're there truly to play the game correctly. So immediately I tell myself, I probably don't want to get mixed up with this guy in too many hands, and so I'm just going to be careful. I look at some other players at the table. Another gentleman, he had a skull cap on, and he was just saying how he won this big tournament. It was, on TV and all these things. So I was like, okay, well, that doesn't make you good. Could have got lucky, but I was going to watch out for him. The player next to me, I was trying to find a tell, and he must have been like, he was an older gentleman, but not too old, maybe 60s, early 70s. And he must have had some type of, symptom because he was shaking a lot. And I thought, when I first sat down, I thought it was a tell. But then I realized that, okay, maybe there's something wrong there. So the shaking is going to throw me off because I cannot use that as a tell. So I'm playing, I buy in a 1-2 game. I buy in for 250. And I wasn't really getting no hands. I lost maybe about $20 because I limped in with King Queen offsuit. Well, I called a raise with King queen offsuit on the button. Nothing ended up coming out of that. I got blinded out for a little bit, and then I look down, one off to the button, I get a pair of sixes. So someone straddled, and about 4 people called. So I called. I said, it's a mid pair. I want to see it low. I want to see a cheap flop. If I hit a 6, then I get someone's money, as long as the board looks correct. So I limp it. I called the straddle, and the button is actually the person who straddled. He makes it 25. I'm sitting with about 175. Well, no. I actually had two. Maybe I had 225. Yeah, that's exactly what I had. I had 225. So he gets 4 callers, and it comes to me. And I think about it, and I don't know why I said this. The first thing I thought in my brain, I said, okay, I'm up against maybe some high cards. The other people just limped in on the straddle. So I didn't put nobody. I mean, maybe it's pocket pairs, but nothing big. So I thought to myself, either I got to throw this hand or I'm going all in. And I actually jammed. There's about, 125 in the pot. Someone's going to have to call 220. So I go all in, and the initial, straddle raise, he was thinking and thinking and thinking. And honestly, he was the person I was worried about. I was not worried about anybody else. So he's thinking. Now, I also think about my reputation at the table, right? So I haven't played hands. It's probably been about 45 minutes. I've been sitting there throwing everything away. I haven't showed down nothing. So clearly they have to think that I'm a disciplined player. So the gentleman throws his hand away, and I'm like, honestly, that was the person I worry about. The second guy, he looks at me, and he's muddling in his seat. But I already knew he was going to throw away. He throws it away. The other guy throws it away. It was the middle position guy who was a little bit... I was watching him. He wasn't playing too many hands. The hands that I did see him play, they were a little bit of a loose caliber player. And he calls. And I'm like, oh, man, I'm in trouble. And he looks at me. He said, listen, I have a lot of catching up to do. And I said, nah, you're probably good. We pull over. He has sevens against sixes. And for some reason, I thought it was going to come. I believed. I said, it's coming. Because when I said all in, my mouth spoke before I could even think. I had to say it was some inner thing in me that, automatically said all in. I thought it maybe knew something and I didn't. So I get beat. Flop, river, nothing. Like I should on 6s versus 7s. All right. So now I have the choice. Do I buy back in or do I walk? Do I call it a day? Now here's the thing. I've never lost. I didn't want to say this in the beginning, but every time I go to this casino, I have never lost a cash game at this casino. And I don't like to believe in luck, right? I don't like to say I've never lost, it's coming. I don't want to put that bad juju on me, but it is in my head. It is literally in my head that I'm thinking oh my gosh, I've won here every single time. I'm due for an L. So when I lost at 200, I had to check myself. I said, okay, listen, at the table, who are the players that I want to play? Who's the players that can pay me back? It was definitely this guy. If he's willing to call, I had him covered. I think I had maybe $11 left, and I was just gonna walk away. And I thought to myself, well, he will pay me back because if he called 200 and some change on some 7s, and he even said it, he would say, listen, I'm a horrible player. I don't even know why I'm here. Da 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 da. And sometimes when people talk too, that's another sign that what they're trying to tell me is probably the opposite. But this guy was genuine. And it wasn't even that he was genuine, is that I knew that he called all in with a pair of 7s. And to me, that was a bad play on his part. So I thought to myself, before I buy back in, who are the players here that I could take? Now, there were a few players after watching that 45 minutes that I wanted to stay out of hands. But The gentleman with the pair of sevens who took my money and the gentleman to the left of him also was some loose players that the gentleman next to him also was a loose player, and he was going all in and got caught a couple times bluffing all ins, was showing hands down with, jack, low kicker, just because it was suited. And I thought to myself, all right, this guy, if he called, because he went in all in literally the entire time I played, probably 10 to 12 times. And I said to myself, let him, I could catch him and get my money back. So I decided to buy back in. And when I buy back in, a few hands, go by, maybe another 30, 40 minutes. I buy back in for another 200. Playing some hands, I get dealt 9, 10 in the big blind suited clubs. I decide, okay, I'm going to see this in. Someone raised it to 7, so I called the 5. The player who was super loose, who kept going all in, he was in it, and the gentleman to my left who just sat down, so I couldn't really get a read on him, he came into it. He maybe played 3 hands. With that being said, the board comes Jack, 9, 10. Now, with a $7 raise, I don't think anybody has King, Queen. I don't put someone on 8, 7. And even if I did put someone on 8, 7, so they complete the straight both ways, either King, Queen or the 8, 7, I thought I have outs, right? If another 9 or a 10 comes, I'm in there. So what happens is the gentleman, I bump it $20. There's about, $20 in the pot, so I make it pop. $20. The gentleman next to me goes 40. And then the gentleman next to him, like the very loose player who's also in it, who's in middle position, calls. So I call as well. The next card comes 5 of hearts. And I thought, okay, if anybody was chasing, they didn't get there. I said all in, because I have about 150 in front of me, and there's about 150 in the pot. One guy insta-calls, the guy to my left. The loose gentleman insta-calls. I knew I was beat. I was still praying that a 9 or 10 would give me the outs. The guy to the next to me had trips. The guy, the super loose guy, had 8, 7 offsuit. He flopped a straight. So next card comes blank, 2. So I lose, again, my second buy-in now. I lose my second buy-in to the loose player who goes all in. Now he's sitting with probably 700 in front of him. And I said, okay, I don't know what to do. He's still playing. I could still catch his ass. That's what I thought. I could still catch him. Now I'm in the game 450 now, right? And I say, all right, bad. Well, before I buy one more time, I'm going to call my wife and I'm going to see, I'm going to get her opinion, because now it's getting close to dinner time. And, I'm okay with taking my first loss. That's what I thought to myself. I'm okay with taking my first loss here. I call my wife. I said, honey, this is what's going on. The only reason why I'm even calling you to ask you if it's okay if I stay is because there's 2 players on this table who are both sitting with 500 in front of them. I think I can get my money back. I'm in the game for 450. I said, if you tell me to come home, I'll come home. I'm okay with it. And she said, how you feeling? And I said, honestly, I feel good. I don't feel like, when you lose, it is the worst feeling. And I didn't have that gut-wrenching feeling that I'm desperate. I need to buy back in to try to get my money. I told myself I'm going to still play smart. Whatever I do, I'm not going to be on tilt. I'm still going to play smart. So my wife says, listen, if you still feel like you're staying there, buy back in. So I buy back in for another $300. And as I'm coming back, this guy, the super loose player who kicked my ass with the straight, just raked in probably $1,500. All-ins, like 4 all-ins all went in. And I'm sitting there with the 300 in front of me, and I'm so excited because I'm thinking to myself, oh my gosh, he has all this money. He is going to go crazy. He's not going to know what to do with it. So when, I'm literally, I just sat down with the rack of 300 because I had to go to the cage, come back, get the money, And he said, well, guys, sorry, but that was my last hand. So before I got there, he said that he was leaving, and I didn't hear him because I was getting the chips and the money. And he took out the other loose gentleman that called the all in with the pocket sevens. That guy lost probably like 500 in that hand. And, the super loose player was, raking in all the chips, putting them in the clear racks to go walk them to the cage. And I said, no way. I said, I literally just bought back in. The two players that I want to take the money from are leaving, or one got knocked out. The other guy's leaving. And I said, now it's okay for me to walk away with the money that I had. So, I already paid for my blind because I missed the blind. So I had a whole round of free cards. And I even said that. I was like, oh man, these guys left. They're leaving. I said, this is probably just going to be the first round. Because I know if I'm at the table, I want to be playing. I don't want to be playing good players. There's no point. There's no advantage for you to play at the table with a bunch of good players. I mean, yes, it allows you to level up your skill and you can watch what they do. But I'm here to make money. And I need to find the fish at the table. And I knew being, now I'm bought in for $750. I knew there is no way I'm going to get all my money back. It's going to take a lot of work and maybe all night to get money from these guys because they were just, they were locks. So I decided to see a free round. I get pocket sevens. I said, someone raises it to 10. I said, I'm in there. You have 5 callers, so there's $50 in the pot. It comes 10, 7, 4. I hit a set, I'm in the small blind. I check. This gentleman next to me says, hey, I'm going to take a shot. He decides to put out $40, 2 callers. And the lady next to me, she kind of hesitates. So, I'm sitting with 300 in front of me. I have a set of sevens that I hit, on the flop. Then it's a rainbow. So unless someone has a set of 10s, they're going to get my money anyways. So I say all in for the 300. The gentleman to my left who beat me with the set of jacks, he mumbles, he folds. Middle player folds. The lady next to me, she's looking at me. She's like, what do you got? So just by her doing that, I knew that she wasn't on a draw. She hit probably the 10, and there is I'm winning. So I was totally calm and cool. She ends up calling, and she has 300 in front of her, and I end up taking down the hand. She shows ace 10. I showed the set of sevens, and she was like, wow, that was good. You concealed it very well, she said. And that was the second time, because when I jammed with the pair of sixes, everybody was talking about it for probably 15, 20 minutes. They were like, oh, I should have called. Should I not have called? And everyone looked at me, and I probably got 3 people who said, you played the hand perfectly. You jammed it in the right place, So it was good. It felt good being at the table and people giving me compliments on me playing a hand. Even after I lost the hand, they said I played it well. And that happened also with the set of 7. She said the way I approached the hand, she said I concealed it very well. So that made me feel good, lets me know I'm doing the right thing. I've been on like I said, I've been on like a 7-month, 8-month hiatus, and feels good to be back. Feels good to feel comfortable. So being 750 in the game, I end up walking away with 715. So I lost about $40, $50, and I consider it a loss. And now that whole omen of I've always won here, like I can now kick that to the curb, and I don't have to worry about that because that's always been in the back of my head. But to be honest, sometimes, a little loss is still a win. And I could have been down 450 and just walked away, but I end up coming back. And in being that I had the 7 7:10, 7:15, I cashed out. It's okay. It's okay because I could have been down way more. Never went on tilt with the hands that I lost. There were hands that I was ahead. There was hands that I was behind, but I never went on tilt. I made sure I played appropriately. So that was this game, and it felt good. I appreciate you guys listening to my story. Hopefully you learned something. Thank you again, and see you later.